A significant winter storm is preparing to move across the United States, and it is expected to bring a great deal of snow and ice with it. We are tracking a low-pressure system that is moving quickly and will strengthen as it travels from the Central Plains toward the East Coast, spreading a dangerous combination of heavy snow and icy conditions from Kansas all the way to Maine. A very wide area of accumulating snow is anticipated, starting in the Central Plains and extending all the way through New England, with many communities on track to receive 3 to 7 inches of snow. However, our greatest concern is a distinct corridor of heavy snow from the Great Lakes to the Northeast, where snowfall totals in the double digits are certainly possible. Places such as Erie, Albany, Worcester, and Concord could be in line for more than a foot of snow if the strongest bands of precipitation settle in. For most winter storms, snow is typically the primary concern. But I want to let you know that this particular winter storm is going to produce something that is far more dangerous. That is correct. We are expecting widespread freezing rain, which will be a possibility across Arkansas, Kentucky, West Virginia, and even in the higher elevations of the Carolinas. Even a light coating of ice can make travel treacherous. However, some areas within this zone could see 1/10 of an inch or more, which is enough to bring down tree limbs and lead to scattered power outages. So, in today's forecast, we are going to carefully break down exactly what you need to know about this approaching nor'easter that is going to affect a large portion of the United States. And before we go any further into this storm, I just want to mention that yes, I am in a completely different location today. Believe it or not, I am on a cruise ship at this moment, right in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. I am on vacation here for the next 7 days, but I will still be providing important weather forecasts as they are needed. And I certainly believe this one is needed, as we have a dangerous winter storm developing in the United States right now. So let's get right into the details. This is what the situation looks like this morning. We already have some bands of moderate snowfall across parts of Kansas and a little bit of freezing rain over in Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, and southwest Missouri that is beginning to intensify. This is a significant concern once again throughout the morning and into the early afternoon. We are going to have this very light area of freezing drizzle and rain that is going to stretch from Little Rock, Arkansas, back through Joplin, Missouri. This means that if even a small amount of freezing rain accumulates on the roadways, it will be very slippery out there on any untreated surfaces. And I am honestly very concerned that we are going to have many of those slick spots throughout the day today in Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and southern Missouri. As we approach the lunchtime hour, that area of snow is going to expand in size, covering central Kansas and moving into western Illinois. Freezing rain will continue to be a threat across northern Arkansas and southern Missouri, and then we will see a lot of heavy rain farther down toward the Gulf Coast. So there really will not be any sort of wintry weather back over in Louisiana, Mississippi, or Texas. By the late afternoon, that snow is going to continue to grow in size, and that is mainly because we have 2 different air masses that are coming together. We have one that is coming over the Rocky Mountains, and then another one coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. All of that moisture is going to merge into one large storm system as we go into late Monday night and into early Tuesday, which means that our snow is going to not just become larger in size in terms of, covering multiple states, it is also going to be coming down even heavier. So we are going to start dealing with heavy snowfall as we head into the evening hours on Monday across Illinois and even over near Indianapolis. And then freezing drizzle will continue to be a threat in far western Kentucky, near areas like Mayfield, southeast Missouri, and northeastern Arkansas. Over near Jonesboro, we could even have a brief period of freezing rain, which means ice accumulation is a possibility on untreated roadways, especially as we go into late Monday night and early Tuesday morning. That snow is going to grow in size even further. Notice all of those dark blue colors that are appearing all across the Ohio Valley. That is an indication of much heavier snowfall, and the snowfall rates will be as high as 2 to 3 inches per hour. This is going to be a rather intense winter weather event. But the good news for those who do not want snow is that this is a very fast-moving, low-pressure system. So for most of you, this will only last about 4 to 6 hours. And this snow is also going to be quite wet, which means it will not stack up on the ground very quickly. But this will certainly add to our snow totals from the past couple of days, where many of you saw record-breaking snowfall amounts for the month of November, including areas near Fort Wayne, Indiana, and even back over in central Illinois, near Springfield and St. Louis. Then, During the overnight hours, we are going to have some freezing rain across parts of Kentucky, southern Ohio, and even back just west of Nashville. Again, it is going to be very, very light, but it might just be enough to make some roadways slick out there. It is not going to accumulate into something like an ice storm, for example, because of how quickly it is moving. But what will become dangerous is that on the backside of this low-pressure system, we have freezing rain, and then we have all of this moderate to heavy snowfall. So, we could have a little bit of black ice on Tuesday morning, which means on top of that, we could even have some snow accumulation on the road. So there could be a double-edged sword, essentially, in some locations where there is a very thin layer of ice, and also some snow, which could cause some schools to cancel or at least delay them on Tuesday morning. That heavy snow will all move into the Northeast on Tuesday morning. This is by around 7 o'clock in the morning. We have snow covering all of Pennsylvania, New York, and also moving into New England. And then, eventually, during the afternoon hours, we are talking about some very heavy snowfall across parts of New York, back over near Albany, and even near Worcester in Massachusetts. There could be some moderate to heavy snowfall. You folks, though, are going to be right on the dividing line between rain and snow. And then over in New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont, a quick-hitting nor'easter is going to be happening during the daytime on Tuesday. Then, by Tuesday evening, most of the snow is going to be winding down. It will still be snowing across Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont all the way through about midnight. But if you are back over anywhere else in the Northeast, all the snow is basically going to be finished by the evening hours. So, this will be a very quick-moving nor'easter, but it is definitely going to cause some significant problems. Now, let's talk more about how much snow and ice is going to come out of this winter storm over the next couple of days, beginning with our snowfall accumulation across the Central Plains and the Midwest. For the most part, we are talking about a widespread 2 to 4 inches of snow. Parts of Kansas could actually have isolated areas near 5 inches of snow back over in central Kansas. But generally speaking, it is going to be a pretty fast-moving system. We are not really talking about a major winter storm in Missouri, Kansas, or even western Illinois. But again, for those of you in Illinois and also Indiana and Ohio, a lot of the snow is just going to stack up on top of what we already have on the ground in these areas. We are expecting at least a widespread 2 to 4 inches of snow. I do think it is realistic to see around 3 to 6 inches, perhaps even close to 4 to 8 inches of snow in parts of central and eastern Indiana and western and northern Ohio. So there is definitely some hope there if you were really looking forward to some snow. I do think any further down to the south, like over near Nashville, for example, I do not really see there being much snow. We could have some snow flurries on the backside of the storm during the early morning on Tuesday, but there is almost no chance that we are actually going to see significant snowfall accumulation in Tennessee. And then back over in the Northeast, and also the eastern Ohio Valley and through the Mid-Atlantic, we are talking about some much more impressive snowfall totals across these areas. And one area that is definitely trending upward in terms of snow compared to yesterday is Pennsylvania, as well as New York and even parts of New England, where we are likely going to see at least 4 to 8 inches of snow. And I do think it is on the table that we could see some localized areas near 10 to 12 inches of snow, especially if those stronger bands end up lining up correctly. That is a possibility in southern Vermont and also back over near Lake Erie, where there is a possibility for some lake effect snow on top of what we are going to be seeing in terms of the snowfall. It is definitely looking likely that we could have a few significant areas of snow accumulation. But across the board, once again, we expect a widespread 3 to 7 inches of snow, and then there will definitely be some areas that fall into the 6 to 10 inch range. Again, isolated locations with over 10 inches definitely cannot be ruled out. But all in all, this is a nice winter storm to begin the season across the Northeast. And another major concern of mine with this winter storm is the threat of ice accumulation. Although this is not going to be a full-blown ice storm, there is a legitimate risk today and into early tomorrow that there will be some ice across parts of Arkansas, southern Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, western Tennessee, and back into Kentucky. And this is not going to be completely widespread, but it will at least be numerous enough to the point where any untreated roads could easily become slick out there. I am quite nervous that we are going to have some accidents today because of this ice across Arkansas. So, please make sure if you have any intention of traveling over the next 24 to 48 hours, you are taking it very slow out there especially in Arkansas or really anywhere that you see any pink shading on the weather maps. Keep in mind, we can still see ice accumulation outside of this area. And again, this is not like 1/10 of an inch of ice. For most of you, at least in these areas, this is only up to about, 1/20th of an inch of ice. It might not sound like much, but again, it only takes a glazing of ice, which is less than 1/100th of an inch, for roadways to become slick. And that could easily happen out here on untreated roads in the Ozarks. And then back over on the East Coast. This is where there is a more legitimate chance for more significant ice accumulation. By no means is this a big ice storm either, but we are likely to at least see some scattered locations pick up around 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation from the freezing rain across areas in the Appalachian Mountains. Also, eastern Kentucky could see some ice accumulation as well, up to about 1/20th of an inch of ice. But the point is, with ice accumulation like this, we have the potential for isolated power outages, especially in the Appalachian Mountains, and travel impacts are certainly on the table. So, please make sure that you are staying safe out there over the next 48 hours. Now, beyond this winter storm, we are going to have some more issues later this week, but nothing truly major in terms of... On Wednesday, we will not see significant snowfall, but there will be some light snow across the upper Midwest and also in the Rocky Mountains. However, I believe our focus will need to shift to the Gulf Coast by Thursday and Friday for our next storm system to develop. This will position itself directly over the southern plains late on Thursday, where heavy rainfall and even some isolated severe weather will be a possibility, right underneath a high-pressure system. That area of high pressure will be building across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Then, as we go into late Friday and Saturday, that is when a more substantial threat of isolated severe weather could exist right along the Gulf Coast. We might even see some freezing rain and snow as far south as North Carolina and Virginia, and perhaps once again in the mid-Mississippi Valley on Friday. So, we will definitely need to keep a very close eye on that situation as it unfolds. Then, by Saturday and Sunday, right around next weekend, that is when things could get a little more active, with perhaps another significant round of snow across the Midwest, maybe around 3 to 6 inches from a storm like that. And then as we look into the following week, this is of course very long-term forecasting. However, the GFS computer model is hinting that our mid-December weather could be quite active across the United States. We could have a couple of major storm systems on our hands. It is going to depend a great deal on what happens in the Pacific Ocean over the next 7 days or so. But if we get a good atmospheric river event in the Pacific Northwest, we could have something similar to what we saw over the last 7 days with 2 different winter storms. One of which was in the Midwest, and then the other one ended up happening across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. Please keep in mind that meteorological winter began today, so we are going to be entering a pretty active weather pattern here. We have not really had this active of a start to December in quite some time.